The thing about being queued with 321 is sometimes you think there's going to be a zero or a take. Oh,
Zero was an invention of humanity. I don't think animals understand zero as a concept.
no, but computers do. In fact, they
Yeah,
have to.
yeah, yeah. They do. They do. They do at that. And
It's a
my
mule.
wallet understands zero too.
Yes, yes, not wallet, yes, and bank accounts and
In bank
statements.
accounts.
Zeros are to be avoided, basically.
Yes, yes, yes.
Indeed, yeah. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mal Burns, and sitting next to me is my producer, co-host sort of person, James Atloud. So, hello from the both of us, basically. Welcome to the show. This is MBTV News, and today is the 9th of July, and the links we're going to be featuring about the week gone by are obviously for the week ending the 9th of July, as opposed to the week starting tomorrow. And the first web page I've got up is always the same. It's always the Scar Ghost. Cue the music. Um, well, maybe not. Oh, yeah, there it is. There it is.
It
He's
works.
there. He's there. He's on the ball.
Right, right.
Right. Yeah. Tony Vittillo, in fact, is the Scar Ghost, and he always posts a post called the XR Week Peak. Either on Monday or Tuesday at the beginning of the week. So his roundup is here on this particular one from Monday or Tuesday or whenever it was, is his look back on the week before, the one we're looking back on. So it's always a good place to go at the beginning of the week for a peek back, like just as watching our show is. But if you go there, you can also go to the week before, of course, and find up his roundup for there. Most of this will cover the same period we did here last week. Um, Google killing its AR glasses Project Iris. I presume we covered this last week. I'm not sure. That seems to be his big news.
Yeah.
Meta has launched a gaming subscription service. It's launching rather a lot recently, isn't it? Four lesser launches. More on that as I start down a rabbit hole. One of them, anyway. But I'll hold back on that until I'm in the mood for rabbit holding. Okay, funny one, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, Unity has announced AI tools when Valve stops AI games, blah, blah, blah. Caviar to offer Vision Pro. Well, oh, God. Yeah, you can get a gold luxury version of Vision Pro. uh, this one's at £39,000. It's
Mm-hmm.
made by a company called Caviar. This reminds me of when they launched the watches. The first versions of the Apple Watch didn't really do much except all the time and a few things. It's obviously changed since then, but they marketed it as an Apple fashion accessory, and there were some very expensive watch faces, versions of
Oh
it.
yeah.
It didn't last very far. Um, Four letter word, elite straps for free. No, free. That for free doesn't sound like Meta, does it? No, that's a bit of fake news, I think. Meta don't give anything for free, do they? Estonian Mo copy. Oh well, we actually showed you this last week. We had a little
Mm-hmm.
video of how you strap it on and everything else like that. Okay, so as I say, you'll find us at scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and yeah, just look for if you start again. Yeah, if you go there tomorrow, the latest link will be to an updated version, no doubt. What I forgot to mention at the start of the program is, as well as introducing myself as Mal Burns, two words that is, you'll find me on Twitter, where I have been squashed. I've actually been squashed there for a long time. This is one thing I can't actually blame on what's his
On Meta.
Elon did not squash me, but he's
uh,
actually fucked me up in just about every other way I can imagine. But I have always been squashed on Twitter. So it's twitter.com/MALBURNS, one word. And there's another Twitter account for this program, oddly enough, which is twitter.com/MetaWorldNews. Although, to be honest, um, the links there are more to do with in-world locations in virtual worlds and stuff like that, particularly OpenSim rather general news. Anyway, moving on. I was about to say that if you follow the link on my Twitter feed, you will actually go to the exact page of this post. Whereas obviously, if you just go to skullghost.com, you're going to end up on the front page. He's not a big site. You'll probably be interested in just about every post he does. So finding stuff at that particular site is a bit more different. I don't know what the situation with this, the Nation, a newspaper. I don't know. I don't come across many links to this, but
Yeah.
presumably you end up on the front page there if you don't follow my link. Anyway, it's just a site called The Nation, Thenatation, and well, uh, this speaks for itself, really. They make it sound rather worse than it obviously is. I mean, because in a way, everybody wants the metaverse to flop at the moment because what they want is the M word, to just vanish so we don't get played by rubbish anymore. You know, I want the metaverse, the word, to be a colossal failure and have it removed from the dictionary if we've ever made it into the dictionary, because it has upset so much. You know, with people using the word to brand it. Oh, I've got a metaverse. Want to see it? Nah, I'm better off in my metaverse, mate. Oh, what's a metaverse? Oh, you mean it's yeah, but you know, blabber, 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 hey, as they say. Okay, did the creative class learn anything from buying into a product that was so obviously destined to flop? Well, I think really what they're talking about here are largely the paper have been jumping into something they think is the metaverse, whether they understand it or not. And since 2021 kind of thing, the successes of the mobile internet, blah, blah, blah. This is actually, of course, they're also talking about, I think they were mostly talking about Meta here. So, who could blame for these? McKinsey claimed the metaverse would bring. Anyway, I like this paragraph. There was only one problem. The whole thing was bullshit. Far from being worth trillions of dollars, the metaverse turned out to be worth absolutely buck-cuss. I don't know. It's not
Buckus.
even
Yep.
the platform lagged behind the expectations or was slow to become popular. There just wasn't anyone visiting at all. And they do have a point because I pointed this out a few weeks ago. But you know, if you go through Twitter and stuff and you follow or link to anybody concerned with Decentraland, they're forever tweeting, you know, events that are happening in Decentraland and how they're you know how they are major heart of the metaverse, arguably the largest and most relevant metaverse platform. But it has 38 active daily users.
Hmm.
God, that is huge. You know, how many have Second Life got? Only 37, maybe. Bullshit. You know, don't believe. You know, Twitter is going downhill rapidly, but in a way, it has been for a long while. When you actually follow people like Decentraland, and you know, I'm using only microseconds of my day seeing a feed from them, that it's actually absolute bullshit. Because they're advertising to come and you know join our huge mega dance party, and you know people are there waiting for you if you can find it and get in anyway. Okay, so they're relying on the Guardian reports here quite a bit actually. The Guardian have indeed been reporting quite a lot recently. I don't think I've got any Guardian links here, but I certainly have in some of my other channels for more mainstream news. Um, yeah, and Meta's flagship Horizon produced no more than 470. That's $470 in revenue globally. Now you know $470 sounds like something good to have in your pocket if you're going out to dinner, but I mean globally for Horizon Worlds of four-letter word fame, yeah. 38 active users, $470. You're not reading those numbers wrong. To say the metaverse is dead is an understatement. It was never alive. Anyway, yeah, good reading this. I'm not going to dwell on this because
Okay.
I personally would not agree with that headline. Because you've got to look at Second Life and its 20th anniversary this year was just finishing really, and you know realize what endurance is all about, both for a
Hmm.
company running something like that and for the number of users it has. It's not the web. It doesn't have billions of users, but it has more than enough to make money. which is really all its owners, Linden Labs, are particularly worried about. You know, sort of, it makes more money every year than they come up with some interesting ways of making money recently, I've noticed, but that's for another program. Okay, so anyway, that link goes to thenation.com, TheNation. Back to a familiar site here, and this one is VentureBeat. They deal with gaming, virtual worlds, all sorts of things, and they actually have a specific M word event once a year as well. And they run GamesBeat, of course, as well as VentureBeat. Anyway, this is an interesting one because this is talking about the Open Metaverse Alliance, OMA 3, to be honest. And they're offering a way for users to travel between gaming worlds in the metaverse. Now, you will notice I missed out a word there. The word being blockchain. Um, I'm not quite sure why it's this specific. I mean, blockchain is a secure way of, identifying virtual goods. Some virtual currencies work on it and stuff like that. So there is a sort of encryption level to it, and maybe where you travel between these worlds will be to do with your information about you that's in the encryption. I don't fully understand this, although obviously it's important if it happens, or how it happens. The thing that worries me is the thing that's getting in the way of interop anyway. And that is, you've got all these different platforms, and very few of them have any common denominator that can, um, firm ground. You can't teleport to a ground that's a mesh into a world where the ground is made of, I don't know, something else, thin air. The rules of the game and the viewers you use are a bit funny. I apologise. This site is not being very agreeable when it comes to moving into the reading mode, so never mind. Anyway, Open Metaverse Alliance for Web3, you find out here. This is another article on their site from last year about why Web3 companies created the Open Metaverse Alliance. So we'll go down that rabbit hole too far. Anyway, OMA 3 is based in Switzerland. They're different, of course, for OMI, which I'm sort of vaguely connected with. I keep an eye on them every week. The Open Metaverse Alliance, which is not the same as this OMA. There's part of an awful lot going on. What they do mention at the top here is, where are we? They refer to it as the Open Metaverse Alliance for Web3. And of course, this really is XR, meaning people who develop virtual worlds that will work on and launch from web pages. A lot of people who work in Unity building, land and worlds and everything else, they have Unity as a common denominator, if you see what I mean. So something could be built into Unity that makes all Unity built worlds to be compatible. To a certain extent, they already are, because the authoring software that makes them all starts with a sphere, which is the horizontal crossing of the sphere is the ground, and what's above it is like a skybox. What's below it, you don't see. But anything in Unity, when you examine it, actually has that sort of look to it. So just as you can jump from one place in a Unity world to another, presumably you might be able to jump across to another world completely. A bit like the way that Hypergrid works in Open Simulator, but I'm not keeping my fingers crossed. And I really don't like the way people are jumping into using the blockchain and stuff. I appreciate what it's supposed to do at some point, but it just seemed to me that everybody was sort of promoting the blockchain a wee bit too quickly. It's a bit like everybody's promoting AI now. Blockchain, what was that? I forget. AI is the thing now. You got to do it with AI. You got to tell AI to build your grid for you, or at least build your terrain, etc., etc. My Twitter feed actually contains quite a lot of AI based links and things, because it's an important issue. Right, I'm going to move down. That was venturebeat.com, so venturebeat.com, and I'm moving down to xrtoday.com. And that's, oh, it's not playing up after all. Okay. Windsor Patania envision future of education with XR facility. Right, I'd never heard of Windsor Patania before, and an XR facility would simply mean that they're looking at, well, I presume they're looking at XR being kind of web VR and stuff like that. This one's particularly highlighted on my feed because this is here in the UK. The site they're building is located at Hangar 2 in Cambridge, ready for the Eastern Colleges Group in the UK. It's a facility designed to suit XR collaboration, learning, research, and education use cases. So it includes an immersion lab, collaboration theatre, green ROM. I think they got that wrong. Wrong ROM. Wrong room, conference room. Right, split into multiple rooms to suit specific XR use cases. So presumably they want to attract people to study, maybe to attract people to use the facility for various projects with all their cameras, microphones, etc. It says a sort of centre. Cambridge is not actually that far from London, so it's based in the south. I mean, for what it's worth, I suspect anybody wanting to use that who doesn't live locally in Cambridge would tend to be people in the region. So, but like Oxford and Cambridge both are not too far from London. Doesn't say much for North England, of course. Get left out on most things. Anyway, interesting news there. You'll find it at xrtoday.com. So xrtoday.com has that post and the information that, of course, goes with it. Right, let me just move my duplicates so I didn't click on them again. And there we go, remove that one. And now we're on there. Oh, another point. This one goes to the same site, actually, XR Today, different page, but same site. xrtoday.com. And this is immersive 180-degree filmmaking with DUV Media's David Ware. And, oh, right. Okay, well, that's all very interesting. In fact, that is a video, and it's coming up a bit later on. So this was a text ad, more or less, in the video, I guess. So I will move on from that because we will come up to that again in a minute or two. Right, over to Forbes. Where else would we find Charlie Fink? Okay, behind the firewall. You might have to hunt around to get this if Forbes kick you out. They kicked me out last week, but this week I got back in, so who knows what they're doing. This week in XR, it's a regular end of the week from Charlie Fink and his mates, looking at Meta and Twitter, tangling over something called threads. I sense a thread of information there. A thread of interesting news, a thread which is sort of about a word that already exists as another app, which has stunningly gone off air for the last couple of days.
No
Having
surprise.
tweeted that they're not owned by a big core, they vanished. The offline window for the app itself, actually, which I have, loads a black screen. So who knows what's going on there? Bit of a bit of industrial espionage on the part of Zuki, maybe. If they were such a small company, that if he can go after Twitter, he could have no problem going after them. As usual, Twitter just, oh, you got something called Threads, have you? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll give you a few billion for it and buy it off you, so you're not in our way. Never able to do anything for themselves, as their Threads proves, because it's a copy of Twitter. And Zuckerberg, of course, is now being sued by Elon Musk for nicking his stuff and hiring his former employees that he sacked when he took over Twitter. It's messy. we'll come to that again in a minute.
I'd say it's entertaining. I don't care if it's messy. It's their mess.
Yeah, it is sort of getting entertaining in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
sort of way. Anyway, you'll find this at forbes.com. If you follow the link from my Twitter feed, hopefully it's got the code that takes you, right to the page. If not, you can go to Forbes and try and find the painting, which isn't actually easy in Forbes' case. I mean, um, anyway, so MSG Sphere landed in Los Angeles. Oh God.
Hmm.
Um,
It's
yeah,
cool.
well, it's just a big screen, a giant screen, actually,
Enormous. All right.
which people have been talking about. Somebody actually, somebody tweeted because they didn't know about it and they passed it. You know, they went drove past it or something or other, and said, spaceship landed in LA,
Right, right. Oh, funny.
Las Vegas rather. Yeah, so it's being noticed, put it that way. Okay, Twitter's new clone, you know, talking about that there. Eyeball. Well, I'll comment on this now because while we're on text, my first thought was, well, if anybody's going to take care of Twitter, Meta, who I really don't like, are going to be the ones who have the ready-made audience to do it. Unfortunately, at the moment it is tied to Instagram, and you have to sign up with an Instagram account or get an Instagram account to join it. They actually say they're going to connect to Post and Mastodon and Blue Sky in the future, but that future could be a way off, and I can't see Zuckerberg own product um, connecting to Mastodon and the open, you know, Fediverse it's called. It goes again, it will go against the grain, I think. But moreover, I haven't been able to get into Instagram for donkey's years, even though I have no problem getting into Facebook. I have a problem myself going to Facebook, but I have no problem getting in if I want to. But it won't let me in. And I spent 2 days negotiating with Facebook to try and reopen an Instagram account so that I can get into Threads as well. I even had to send them selfies of holding up a piece of paper with my name and a special code written on it.
Oh, goodness.
So we'll test that photo you sent us against a photo on your thing and everything else. Then they wrote back to me again a day later saying, "Sorry, we're not letting you in. As a, you know, you don't pass our verification, whatever." And they didn't say why, when. They just said, "Sorry, you're rejected." Um, if I'm rejected on Instagram, my former partner, when she was around, used to put her paintings up on Instagram, and I would check them every morning, you know, to be new painting. I don't know what happened or when that stops me getting in there, especially as, you know, I always use my Facebook login as the login for Instagram, as far as I know, because, you know, it says login with Facebook. And when I click that, I get into Facebook successfully, and Facebook says, "No, you're banned" or something. Yeah, not from Facebook, but from Instagram. So I don't know what's going on, but I really don't give a damn anymore. What I'm thinking, because I only use Twitter to publish, actually, rather than converse, is apparently all the reviews of Threads say that they're blocking it as, or they're not blocking it, but they're playing down its use for news feeds or politics or anything like that. They want it to be a social thing. Now, the irony there is that Twitter originally, and I was a beta tester of the original Twitter, was not meant to be a social thing. It was designed for exchanging news and links and things like that. Only over time did it become like a social network with emphasis on social. But of course, Meta think that their Twitter clone, Threads, should actually have the emphasis on social, and I guess that makes sense because they've got all their other social networks. So why not create a Twitter clone that's a social network? But I think they missed the point of what Twitter ever was. Sadly, Elon Musk seems to have missed that point as well. So we really don't have a functional Twitter anymore. And my theory now is that if Threads actually does develop into something that works with the Fediverse, then I will simply link to it using one of my existing Mastodon accounts. So I can always follow anybody on it, but I can't follow it until they activate, you know, the links to the Fediverse. So we will see. I already follow people on about half a dozen or more Fediverse accounts, but I only ever need to use Mastodon one instance to follow them all, if you see what I mean. So anyway, I'm not going to rabbit hole anymore. That's enough for that. Um, I don't know what that toy is. That looks like this. That's it. No, that's the Apple one, isn't it?
It's the
Yeah.
Apple. Yep.
Okay. Um,
You better start recognizing that, Mal.
well, just they all look the same. They're like the helmets you put on your head with a visor on the front. Bigger or smaller or functional or not for or I mean, if there was a face showing through that, I would understand, but it's not been worn by anybody, so I can't identify it. Too many of these things.
I
Okay,
identify the head strap. That's what I see for the Apple.
yeah, and they make an extra headset for it. You pay extra to get this
Well,
third
no,
headset.
the stock head strap is very distinct.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But apparently you have to pay extra if you want another strap that goes for the
Like everything, like
like
everything.
everything Apple.
Right,
It's like, if you want a replacement strap for your watch.
right, exactly.
You about pay $100 for a stupid bloody um, strap, and they promote you buying many, so you've got different straps for different
Right,
days.
right.
God, overkill, really. Yeah. Okay. What is the point of this news is that they don't think they're going to be able to produce the numbers of the Vision Pro that they were intended to launch with. It's to do with a China-based contract. So they may end up with fewer than 400,000. Um, at the price, that might do them for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
It's possible as few as 130,000 will be fully assembled, but don't have enough parts. Interesting. Um, okay. Samsung are delaying an upcoming headset. I actually heard that they were doing it. They take one look at Apple Vision Pro and thought, okay, we're not in this game anymore. But they probably can't afford to manufacture something that's probably cost 300 to
Are you
3,000.
looking away, Mel? Your audio got.
No, I'm not looking. I'm
Oh,
staring
okay.
right where I normally am.
Okay.
Maybe it's Discord is fading on me, or maybe my
Maybe
brain is
so.
fading. Maybe it's my brain that's fading and
Uh,
influencing my voice.
well,
You never know.
don't do that.
Yeah,
Keep
X-real
keep
beam.
your brain.
Okay, that's a nice big picture. I can't show it. It's up in two halves. Anyway, right, Nreal announced they're going to be called X-Real. That's old news,
Mm-hmm.
Charlie. All right, it's old news. Anyway, round up there for the end of the week at Forbes.com from Charlie Fink and Co. And of course, they have their video show coming up in a minute anyway. Yeah, so FORBES.com. Moving down, as I said, XR today. Big news from Apple, Xreal, SenseCloud, and NVIDIA. Again, this is a roundup site, xrtoday.com, xrtoday.com, and ask if the XR races are starting again. Well, we've had Ascot and we've got Wimbledon, so it's the racing season. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Multiple XR firms pushing to get ahead of the pack with a year full of hype and innovation. Indeed, indeed. Um, all right, NVIDIA champions. Okay, NVIDIA championing enterprise grade digital twins. Uh, Let me see. NVIDIA are pretty active in a whole load of sort of stuff. The Earth visualizing engines. It's hard to know where one's interest in. I mean, a lot of this geospatial mapping and stuff like that has an awful lot of common with virtual worlds, except it's like mirror worlds almost, or providing mirrors of the real world in as a digital twin. Um, a lot going on. So this again is a bit of a roundup, and there's a whole load of stuff. I know it's going on, but I haven't been following it that well. Okay, X-Real to take on Apple. This is probably due to the fact that the X-Real device has a big screen and as augmented reality operating system is pretty profound, and I can't get it in the UK yet, but I was liking the idea of something like a pair of glasses that will give me big screen, multiple screens in front of my face, as well as a big screen for movies or something. And given the price difference, I think Xreal certainly can compete with Apple on that strict facility front. Obviously, Apple will have apps from their app store and a whole load of other things going on in their headset, but you know, Xreal have actually confirmed 150,000 shipments. So since May, I believe that is, so not bad. Looking at Sense Glove, we had a video on that either last week or I've got it lined up here. And so yeah, Sense Glove. You think Apple's helmet is bad? This costs $6,000. It's just a glove, an active strap that applies pressure to the palm of the user. Anyway, we'll get on to that later a bit maybe. Removing that, right. Returning now to earlier in the week, or no, later in the week, most recently, the Scar Ghost yet again. You might as well cue the music. Yeah! The wolf off howl. Right, so something called Wise Ear. I mean, come on. I suppose it's a logical name, really, Wise Ear. But I'm well. It doesn't. Well, I presume it's referring to the ear, but actually, you control XR with your jaw, not your ear. This is a bit of a weird one. We're going to see more of this on the video bit in a minute. So we are. Saved it correctly. Okay. Okay. Well, this is, of course, Tony Vitillo writing his own review, and it is as long as you might expect it. Looking at their earbuds, I suppose that's the ear connection. Yeah, there we are. They look like earbuds for listening to music, but they're not for that at all. They're sensors, so they can tell how your face is moving and translate that into actions. They might, whether they work as actual sort of music earbuds as well, I don't quite know. The two ears are connected to a wire which is used to detect the difference in the electrical potential between the two ears. If you study physics at high school, what counts in electricity is the difference of potential between two areas, and it's this difference of potential that makes electricity flow. So the moment you twitch, you get an electric shock. Is that the idea? Okay, well, you can read
little Clockwork Orange there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Assuming on a single airbird, and yeah, he's really going for it there. So there he is. Great review he's got there. He may have actually. It doesn't look like he's got a video in that post, but I'm pretty sure he did one. Or we got one somewhere. Right. Okay. So you find that at scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and that's one of Tony's actual own reviews. Moving down the list here, which is rapidly approaching its end these days, today that is. CNET.com, that's an easy one to remember, CNET.com. Although I must admit, you'll have to follow my link if you want to find the article, because it's /tech/computing/I something and long L that I can't even read the end of. I can't see it for once, which is unusual. Right. Okay. I wore the future with a brain-connected AR VR headset. You can tell that this is a first-person review, and the next frontier might be neurotech. Right. Okay. Well, I do know for fairly certain that that is not the Apple contraption.
Certainly not. Right.
Yes, Apple's got this strange alien that's taken over its skull. That looks horrendous. But we've got to remember all these things are sensors for your brain. and stuff. The idea, this is a prototype, or it'd have to be, wouldn't it, really? Yeah. This is Galileo. Oh, no, it's a Gallia. A sensor-studied brain-sensing VR AR headset array. And, yeah. A few weeks ago, the device saw a best quality mixed reality headset with an interface controlled by my fingers and eyes. That was Apple's Vision Pro. But a few months before its announcement, I saw something perhaps even wilder. Clipped on my ears, a crown of rubbery tipped sensors nestled into my hair, and a face mask lowered in front of my eyes. I'm glad you don't have to shave your head to wear these things these days, but one wonders if it might still help. Rather than just nestling a sensor into your hair. I don't know. One sees, I suppose, they make such a you've got to look at the Apple Watch to know that you barely need any contact, for the information on your body to cross over. I don't even know how to describe my experience of trying it, he says. Well, why has he written this long article? He doesn't know how to describe it. Yeah, But look at that. Look at the that now. That looks like something you find in a woman's hairdressers. Well, when
Okay.
the grandma hairdressers, that is. Then they're doing perms or something by twisting it into curly things and setting it. I don't know. Anyway, no, this is almost where the skull goes, but it's not. This is a long article, so I will leave you to read it. But it is, it's interesting, very interesting for sure. All this sort of stuff is, threads again in the tapestry that will ultimately be our future. Whether it's a dominant thread or not, I don't know, but there will be threads in the tapestry. The only thing that won't be a thread in my tapestry is a Zuki thread.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Well,
Yep.
not yet anyway. I'll change my mind later, of course. We all do. Right. Moving down to readwrite.com, readwrit.com. And yeah, this is the last web post for today. OpenAI has now released GPT-4 for widespread use. I only included this to let people know. There is so much talk here in Britain, in Europe, even in the US, about the dangers of AI and stuff, and it needs to be, it needs to stop advancing it and actually start legislating it and controlling it before it gets out of control. So what have OpenAI done? They've released a new, updated version, more powerful version of the existing one for widespread use. So obviously they haven't been well. It's probably not in their interest to follow the politics of it. They just want to sell licenses to lots of OpenAI things. I actually subscribe in my feeds to a site called Product Hunt. I may have mentioned this before, but usually every morning when I open the feeds, that particular site has it used to have maybe 10, a dozen, maybe up to 20, new products. So, there might be a Chrome plugin, an offline piece of software, people, startups and things like that. And sometimes already existing products launching new versions. So it's a good place to check on what's around and what's coming up. But for months now, it's infernally longer every day. What used to be about 10 entries on the list every morning is now about 100. And what's more, 9 out of 10 of them are all something you're trying to sell a piece of software they built using OpenAI. So OpenAI charge a lot for access to the various number crunching technologies, the computers, I guess, that have to crunch. Um, and everybody is just, it's like, when web apps first became popular, anybody who can alter a website used to alter a website. I used to do it too with like a video site. And then I used Adobe Air to convert that into a standalone app, even though it was actually just a web page and the links were opening, in a frame set. But that was hidden in the Air app itself, because it was designed to look like an app. And a lot of these things on Product Hunt are very much the same sort of thing. Somebody's just thrown together an interface that will do something specific. They've got some code in the background that does the searching along certain parameters they've already come up with, and they try and automate the process for you so that instead of you searching for or asking for an image based on such and such of your own invention, they automate it for you by giving you the choices, for example. But actually, all they're doing is they're filling in the blanks of the search criteria, and then letting AI do its thing. Um, they're, there's too many of them already, Sort of, everybody's going to give up on AI because they don't know which of the several thousand offerings to actually use for it. Anyway, I thought that was important information, especially for those people I know that are really being very cautious. Yeah. And I hear a doggy. Hello,
Oh
doggy.
yeah, I'm dog sitting this week. So,
All right. I sometimes have dogs in the background.
oops.
Oh,
No.
he probably can't hear me if
He
you're
can't
on
hear
video.
you. No.
Okay, fair enough.
No.
If you could hear me, that's the last you hear of him.
That's right.
My bark confuses dogs.
Sure.
they usually back off, right? Because the humans aren't meant to do that,
Right.
right? Okay, well that's where we are on that one. And by the way, Voices of VR are always good to look at, but there are no new podcasts this week. The last one was back on June 21st. I'm sure by next week that will have changed. Right. Okay. So I'll remove that item, and that's it for that department. So I'm now. Well, actually, I know where I'm going to go next, just for convenience. Okay. Um, these are actually about to be when the Macintosh wheelie stops wheeling. Don't know why it's doing this. There we are. This, of course, is simply our title. Right. Okay. So I've got a few offline videos here to show. Um, Okay, I'm going to. There's really only two, and it's only going to take a couple of minutes, so let's get it over with. A non-player character, an animated immersive virtual reality event. This really is. I don't think it's really online, but it's a major event that's coming.
Non-player character is a interactive virtual reality musical where the audience co-creates the story with me. I play a non-player character in a video game who witnesses the hero die and is not programmed to process the grief. So I ask the audience to help guide me through the 5 stages of grief represented as 5 virtual worlds. So 4 audience members join me on stage, and then the spectators can see the virtual world projected on the screen, and they actually have a web app on their phone with 4 buttons. So the spectators are actually assisting the headset participants while we all co-create the story together.
We failed. I told you, it wasn't designed to do something like this.
What's really exciting is this opportunity to perform in a venue, being in the room, experiencing that real theatrical audience and feeling the breath, feeling the pauses, the tension in the air, hearing the gasps. That's what theater is all about. I think we're on the precipice of a really exciting transition into the gamification and the let's play of narrative. And I hope the audience walks away feeling invited to that call.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not sure where that is. Presumably, it's just at one venue somewhere at the moment, and it wasn't very clear from that brief picture where. But I mean, that sounds rather interesting. I mean, quite nice if if something like that emerged. I mean, you've already got the ABBA events and things in London or whatever, but imagine something like that sort of becomes, well enough known to do a world tour. Maybe not like a band, but like good West End theatre opens on Broadway and gradually gets around. So I wouldn't be adverse to going and seeing something like that if it landed in London here. Although for all I know, maybe that was in London, but they sounded very American voices. Right, okay, my next clip is the only one. Actually, it's only about 50 seconds. This is testing X gloves and the Varjo headset at the All conference. Well, that's really, how shall I exactly put it? An absolutely captivating voiceover, I believe. Wouldn't you agree, folks?
No. I didn't hear any
Right. I don't
voiceover.
know what made me think there's a voiceover on that because there's about 50 seconds of not much really, except you could have got it into the first 10 seconds. Also, it's odd. I'm looking at the videos on my list here, and I've only got one other which I'm not sure about showing. But I can't. I thought I had videos that linked in with some of the text articles we were looking at, so they may come up in. I'll look at the Mastodon feed in a minute. While I'm here, though, because I've got one other clip here. This is actually from my favourite mainstream news programme in Britain here, Channel 4 News. They put up a lot of their clips on YouTube, which are rather than the hour-long programme, they just put 5 or 7 minute extracts from their main articles and stuff. I can't find out what my legal position is in showing them. The fact they're public on YouTube would suggest that they're not too fussed with anything that promotes them. So all I'm actually going to do is start at the beginning of this. They've been doing a whole series on the threat of AI. And somebody here, as you can see, has got. I'm not playing all 5 minutes, but you'll see somebody's not exactly happy.
My name's Greg Marston. I'm a professional voiceover actor, some 30 years or more, and my voice is being used and copied and cloned.
Greg Marston is a canary in the computerized coal mine, a David against the Goliath of big tech, as the Titans scramble to dominate the artificial intelligence market.
Look, something's happening in AI.
LLMs, such as ChatGPT, have taken the world by storm.
Welcome to IBM Think 2023.
For over a decade, IBM's flagship supercomputer, Watson, was a pioneer in artificial intelligence.
Watson, what is executor? Right. Same category, 1600. Answer, A double.
In 2011, the computer made headlines beating humans on the cult US game show Jeopardy! Today, IBM's Watson is a brand that provides business software, helping IBM generate over $60 billion a year.
Right, I'm going to, as I say, I'm not going to want to risk playing the whole thing here. I'm going to go fast forward to that gentleman.
But one of the voices it uses is a clone of Greg's, used, he says, without consent.
Hello, my name is Connor. My voice was described as polished and professional.
So you are Connor?
Effectively, yes.
This website is Revoicer, a third-party site where you can buy AI-generated voiceovers. The company said they bought the clone of Greg's voice from IBM, and IBM obtained the clone when Greg recorded a session for the company 20 years ago, before this software was a developed product. He now finds himself competing for work against a clone of himself. Now, you did sign a release form allowing IBM to use your voice. Surely that grants them permission to do whatever they like now.
In respect to the session that was recorded and the words that I spoke from the scripts that I was given, but as far as I'm concerned, not to carte blanche offer my voice and all of my characteristics and IP and so forth to the whole world and make money out of it.
Do you feel that you were misled on what they were planning to do with your voice recording?
I feel that the usage of it today is nothing like what I was led to believe that it was when I actually did the session.
Okay, as I said, I'm curtailing a lot of this because I don't want to get in trouble. Hello, YouTube. Hi, Channel 4. Sorry, but you can pretty much hear what's going on here now. Later on here, we've well, let's see if we get the intro.
Is seeing more cases like his.
Greg's case highlights just how vulnerable performers are as we move forward with this innovation, and we are seeing more and more members get in touch with the union to seek support. I think if we don't see urgent action from the government, there could be serious dystopian consequences for...
Okay, all of you is here. Naturally, there's a pretty lady from the government interviewed as well. Right, that's about all you need to know. If you follow YouTube, by the way, I mean, I really highly recommend following Channel 4 News. You don't have to be in Britain to enjoy it. Obviously, they report on British things, but they cover a lot of issues. And I think if you're used to American news programs and things, you might find it refreshingly surprising. There was also, I mentioned that, Channel 4 News is their account name on YouTube. And there was another in their AI series this week, and several others in past weeks too. So if you want to, they're only 5-7 minutes long, these clips, but there's a whole collection of them there with some very interesting standpoints on things that you might want to go and check out. But I'm not going to be playing them all here. Now, longer clips, I actually post to a feed on Mastodon, which incidentally connects. Oh, that was, yeah, easy. It connects back to my Twitter account. So the video, anything that's a reasonably long form video, actually more than 5 minutes, I suppose now, I'm putting more and more stuff here. The links here get reposted to Twitter. So if you follow me on that Twitter account, twitter.com/Mal Burns, you will be receiving the links with these video embeds in them as well. But if you just follow me on one of the Mastodon social account, you'll find it's all devoted to videos coming online. So starting with today, the day they're posted and the day they're recorded aren't always quite the same. But anyway, this one I think came up yesterday, though I only put it up this morning. So it's the F Reality podcast, and this was most amusing. It's got Elon and Mark's cage fight at MetaConnect. You may remember that one or the other of them invited the other one to something called the cage fight, an American thing, I guess, like a wrestling thing or boxing thing or something. And the other one said, yeah. I don't know the date or venue has been set yet, but it's almost like they're having an on-air fight anyway. Not only did Zuckerberg launch his threads this week, but Musketeer immediately has taken them to court, saying, well, you've hired all my ex-employees that I sacked from Twitter, and you're breaching my corporate copyright or something. Not to mention it's that he probably didn't know what it was all about before he bought the company anyway. And it must be he must be regretting that by now. It must be the worst ever financial waste of money ever. But he's slowly destroying the platform he bought. So this week's been very bad. I almost couldn't even get to half my Twitter feeds in a way that I could get them on the show today. So there you go. Of course, I can always put everything on Mastodon and let it just auto post to Twitter. Then this will become my feed. Anyway, this one, as we can see here, takes a while to start.
This horny horticulturalist can be found browsing planthub.com.
Oh, hang on.
And stroking his long. Here's what's coming at you today on the podcast. Press a button. Make a game. Adult toys to pair with your Apple Vision Pro. What's a broken leg look like in VR? MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch returns by pitting a blubbery walrus versus a slithering reptilian alien. And finally, Jose is here with releases to bring you news of game sales, to resuscitate your wallet, and keep you in remission from having to cope with real-life trauma. Foot de Dominion in French is Canada Day. It's actually a federal.
All right. Okay, you can see me scrolling along the bottom here because we've got some interesting chapters here. Some pretty good stuff in this episode, but I want to bust in on the bit where they're talking about the battle of the giants. If I can find it. Something in... God, bones breaking. Yeah. Here we are, right, here we are. Elon and, right, somewhere about here.
That's the hair. I can't, I gotta go red. Come on.
Oh, there you go, red, of course. All right, let's move into a proper fight, a fight for the eons. This is going to be Elon versus Mark. So, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, cage fight, right? And so we're going to talk about this a little bit. So Zuckerberg had responded to Elon via an Instagram story featuring a screenshot of Musk's original challenge to potentially cage fight. And Zuck said, send me location. So it does seem that the CEOs of Tesla and Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp could go toe-to-toe. But where? How much are tickets going to cost? Are we going to be able to view it ringside in VR? Like, these are the questions that we need to know. So...
Okay, well, enough butting into them. As I say, that is embedded. You can find it on Twitter and you can find it on the Mastodon feed, which is at MetaWorld at mastodon.social. And moving down the list anyway to a couple from yesterday. Oh, here is another clip. This one, this is the other one I think. I'm thinking of. This is another clip from Channel 4 News. This one was actually long enough that I've embedded it into the feed anyway. We need humans at the top of the food chain, says AI Pioneer. This is this is pretty crucial. This is one of the people who formed DeepMind, which of course became a Google company. He's long since departed for them. He's still interested in the stuff, but he mentions the food chain now. This actually has nothing to do with actual foods. It's to do with the pyramidal structure of AI and computers and stuff. You know, everything needs to be controlled at the top by humans, basically, rather than letting the machines take over. People make interesting parallels to that. Is it Schwarzenegger who was in that? What was it called?
The Terminator.
Terminator, that's it. The Terminator series and whatever. So funny how things go. Okay, also from yesterday is the latest Between Realities. They're looking at Reboot Imagine and F Reality. So they've got the F Reality people, which was the first one there, guesting in Between Realities too. This is you'll be familiar with the format of this one.
And then to Kensei. And to Kensei too. And to Chibra and getting things done.
And they have a middle screen there where they if they've got guests coming on, the guests actually appear like there you are, a bit like we do in our studio here. If you're in the studio as opposed to watching online, they interview via that sort of guest screen in the middle. It's a nice setup. I quite like that format for the program. And of course they are interested too. They, like many of these ones I embed, they are Game Boys a bit, but I don't know. There's always this thing that makes me decide, am I going to promote that one or not? To me, if they're involved in virtual worlds, the general technology that powers these things, it's interesting because there are many parallels between game technologies and virtual world technologies, so-called M-word technologies, or four-letter word technologies. Oh no, they don't have a technology there, that one. Right. So many parallels, but on the other hand, there are some of these programs that you give them a couple of watches over a couple of weeks and you realise all they're just talking about is the latest games they've played and not really haven't got a really wider scope on things. So anyway, Between Realities I'm quite keen on. On Friday, right, the role of open source in metaverse development. This is an embed from YouTube again. Of course, it would be from the Metaverse Standards Forum. It's actually a bit boring to watch, but it's quite interesting to listen to.
Let's begin kind of with the metaverse itself. Is this plush world, cyber world of 3D fantasy, or maybe it's a...
In fact, it's mostly a slideshow, as you can see.
See you in different contexts. And
but
who sees what persona is going to be an important part of it. So when you...
So as it says, the role of open source in metaverse development, and that I think is quite crucial. These days, I mean, it has to be open source. It has to be interoperative. As certain companies are beginning to find out, if you actually develop do metaverse development all on your own and then create something that you think is your metaverse singular, you're on a hiding to nowhere, basically. Right, also from yesterday, of course, this is Charlie Fink again. This is the video version he does with Ronnie Aberitz and Ted Schultz. or she, well, whatever how you pronounce it.
This week in XR,
Always bear in mind the first half of this program is his sponsor.
is that once
Well,
you
only
cross the
joking, but
Rubicon of 1,000 people a week, then things accelerate, and that has certainly seemed to happen. You know.
okay, they're looking at they've got a CEO of something called Evermore joining them, Grid co-founder and Void.
That price point, it gives developers a chance to publish stuff that they wouldn't normally publish on other.
Okay, both of these guests actually are, to be honest, people I hadn't really heard of before. I was just checking there because I thought there might have been a couple of sort of features in there that would have been more general to the week, but actually that's sort of not week specific. Right, okay, I'm going to move down again here, get it out of the way. Another from the Metaverse Standards Forum. This is Interoperable Characters Avatars Exploratory Group. And they have some guest speakers. And again, it's the Standards Association by and large.
Camera. We've been.
Okay, these ones tend to be demos of stuff people are doing for the open metaverse, basically, especially characters, avatars and things that will be interoperable across platforms. It's all sort of provisional stuff that people are working on, but you know, they're doing quite a lot of it. There is some interesting news coming out of Second Life too, that they will be, they may shortly be supporting some of these formats. I don't know how interoperable Second Life would ever become, but certainly the ability to use some of these GLTF type things may be coming to Linden Labs. More on that when we hear about it. Exciting. This lady I follow every day, her site's on site's called Thoughts. Basically, you have to follow her at Substack. They don't let any of the embed codes come out to anywhere else, so you actually have to go in there to actually watch them. But you know, as you can see, it's a simple click away, so to speak. And is this the one that? Anyway.
Today I'm looking once again at how, where there are lemons, there is always someone looking for a way to make some lemonade. And here the example that I found is that of some thought leaders and academics who are suggesting that as climate change takes place and as sea levels are going to start increasing in some places, that perhaps we direct...
That's an interesting comment on something that was actually in the news earlier in the week, which was a bit off topic there, but that was to do with, yeah, here we are. Sea level rise, and the thought that actually they're actually considering in advance that it might be, well, they're trying to figure out how dangerous it would be to flood the Sahara. You know, as create a channel for rising sea levels to go back, and because the Sahara used to be fertile, they figure they can take the rising seawater and just pump it into the Sahara and regreen it for regreen Africa or something. Who knows? Who knows? But I mean, that would be a massive undertaking, you know, the building such a system, and then as usual, you know, you kind of wonder if that would just create some other problem we haven't thought of yet. You know, like you know, moisturizing in the wrong places and creating more problems. Who knows? Who knows? She has some comments on that though. There is another one. There is another one or two by her anyway, and they do touch on virtual worlds a bit. Okay. Right. This is Excel Today, and again, this one doesn't embed very well. We noticed when I was doing the web pages, we came across the mention of this actual film, immersive 180-degree filmmaking with, well, basically David Ware, who's hosting it, is looking into 3D filmmaking.
I spent a lot of time studying story. It's a hugely helpful part of producing.
So it's, well, it's related to metaverse stuff. So 3D filmmaking there, and oh, there's Bronwyn again. Haven't quite getting to grips here with my slightly newer system of displaying things. Right. Here we are. There's another one from, well, I don't know why this one embeds and the other one didn't, but there you go. This is another one from Immense, the Anglo-American, oh God, Immense, Anglo-American Empower High Skilled Workers with VR Training. So this is all about empowering training people with VR. Then we're back to what are more normal kind of things, which is the VR Crewcast. Amazon's making a noise at me, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, they're basically just doing their discussing of upcoming VR games and VR news. The guys from Between Realities are in there too, as you can see from their little shots there. I quite like this program. I mean, it's a bit gamey sort of. The thing is, there's so many of them, and they all know their stuff, you know. And it's like a meeting of various different podcasts. You know, sort of on common ground and stuff. So, you know, it's normally something pretty interesting in that collision of personalities, so to speak. And hang on, what date was that? Okay, yeah, the other thing missing this week, of course, is the VR download. I guess it's holiday time, and once again, James has been deprived of his favourite video.
Just no dad jokes from Kyle.
Okay, fair enough. So the only other one on the list there is creating avatars and RT 3D characters with something called Didimo. And this one has embedded. I don't know why some embed and some don't. This is getting confusing, but we'll try. So this again is one from XR Today. Same guy introducing it, of course, but
so we created a software or a solution that allows, you know, game studios to define how they want their virtual worlds or their games to be. So imagine they want to create the diversity of New York. So they can define all the properties of how they want the ethnicities or the type of characters that they would want to have, and we can automatically generate them. On top of that, you know, the artists, which are always center of attention when you're developing a game, they can create all the outfits and all the makeups and all the garments and hats and glasses, and they only needed to create it once. And then you can automatically asset fit it to all the other digital characters that are being.
Right, well, you can get the gist of that. Talk about avatars, and well, it's a bit specific. There's, you know, it's a company called Didimo, but I mean, it's along the lines of avatars that can work in different places, as opposed to just making an avatar for one particular platform or something. And yeah, these that one was last week. And the only other one, I think I concluded it in last week's show that, oh, I remember, it wasn't quite right. There's a problem with the embed. So when I embedded last week's show there, just before I did that, I embedded this again, which was, I was going on about last week. It was a really interesting 2-hour chat between Philip Rosedale, who founded Second Life, and Andrew Meadows, who he went to school, he studied physics together when they were younger, and Andrew Meadows joined him at Linden Labs and indeed is still there. So they had a lot to talk about, cheering themselves with a glass of whiskey to start, and thereafter, just one of those, you know, you've got two people who've got just too much to talk about, but really interesting, too much to talk about stuff. So well worth watching that. Yeah, 1 hour 50.
Meadows was the first employee to join Linden Lab in late 1999 and began working with me on what would later become Second Life. Before that, he and I both studied undergraduate physics at UC San Diego. Andrew later went on to get enter the PhD program in space plasma physics and left that program to join me in 1999. To work on Second Life. He is an amazing thinker, engineer, and co-worker who has worked with me for more than 20 years now. He's still at Second Life today after a spell in the middle of about a number of years working with me at High Fidelity. We had a wide-ranging conversation about the earliest days of our office in Hayes Valley in San Francisco, what the earliest experiences of Second Life was like, what the first avatars looked like, conspiracy theories in Second Life, physics, simulation theory, what we can learn from AIs, and a number of other fascinating topics. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Thank you. Yeah, comfortable. Good. We have our whiskeys close at hand. Cheers.
Well worth watching. So that introduction there gives you an idea of what it's all about. So that's the last of the videos for this week too. So we've done all the web pages, we've done all the videos, and we've done the offline videos. We've done everything. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. Have I kept it under an hour? Not under half an hour.
1 hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, dear me. I must have rabbit hole somewhere. Oh dear. Any thoughts, James? Any thoughts, James, after all that?
Lots of thoughts. I thought I had something I wanted to follow up on before, but I'm a big fan of the neural interface, and so I love seeing that type of research and progress. And I did note that Neuralink, the Elon Musk product, is now has a page to accept volunteers for human testing.
Ooh.
So I don't know. Is that something I should do? Shall I
I don't know.
Get something implanted?
Has Musk got any money left to cough for the volunteers? Or is it strictly volunteers?
No, I think it's strictly volunteer would be my sense, right?
Yeah.
And Maria Korolov, of course, would advise me against it most emphatically.
I wouldn't, if I went into a clinic or a hospital or something somewhere and somebody wanted to strap the notes onto my head and, get me to try controlling things, I'd probably be up for it. As a component, what I don't like, as you well know, is the helmet thing where I'm totally enclosed with multiple inputs coming in, and if I can wear a head, it's not a helmet as such. It's just a thing wrapping around my head, hopefully not too heavy. But it doesn't involve a visor or something. Then maybe I could think myself moving forward on a normal 2D monitor in a virtual environment. I'd be quite happy with that to experiment with that. So it's the all-encompassing thing. In a way, it's the same thing that we're perceiving as a threat with AI. It's just a full scale that takes over, or could do. And that's why we are worried about what AI could become, particularly when it's one of the posts in the week actually mentioned. I don't think it was one of the Channel 4 ones. It was to do with, I think it was actually that Lady Bronwyn. It was to do with the way that the big companies are all latching on to AI now. But you still, to actually do the research, as it were, you still got to have real world people programming the AI. In other words, getting the AI to do things. And they are basically, they're outsourcing this work, of searching with AIs to third world countries, and people are not being paid very much at all to do this job. So what's actually happening is that the outworkers who are working on stuff for big Western companies are actually getting so little money, they're actually doing lots of work on the side, which of course is uncontrolled by the big companies that are hiring them. They do a little bit which they're being paid for, and then they do a load themselves. And of course they are becoming experts in this stuff, but they're not in any way legislated for. In fact, no, the big companies aren't either. But obviously, if I don't know, say the United States government and the EU put fierce restrictions on European and American companies, and maybe British ones too, of course, that may not be enough, because by that time there'll be loads of third world countries where the population now can actually pursue that technology free of restrictions. So restrictions will need to be on the global level now, like emissions are, and we all know that that doesn't work anyway. So that was a kind of interesting point on the AI side, which you've now prompted me to. Thank you, James.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But yeah, you did mention that. But yeah, I mean, you started off, of course, with what you said about the what was your name for it? The
Neuralink is the product, but
yeah.
All I remember is, years ago, Maria would say, "Don't get an implant. Don't get an
Of course.
implant."
Well, it's quite funny. I mean, she used to be so up and bouncy about all this sort of stuff and 1,000 different headsets. And she seems to have done a double turn now. If she probably recommends implants now because she writes science fiction, because her science fiction author friends on Meta, what's it?
Yep.
Writing all about it. I don't know. There seems to be very little connection between her and the hypergrid now, except for she takes an opportunity once a year to do a roundup of all her posts and then present them at the conference.
Yeah.
About the
and the metrics, the stats on the
grids.
grids.
Yes, the metric, yes. Yeah. But again, they're it's like once in blue moon, it's time for some more stats,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Who knows, but it's hypergrid stats and OpenSim is one thing, but I mean, it's sort of a well, I know it's quite good, but it makes you feel, sitting here in OpenSim, I think they're very useful, or it's nice to know what they are once a year.
Oh yeah.
But the news reporter in me would naturally like to see somebody journalistically like her reviewing stats from all the platforms, giving us a much broader view of where the trends are, and sort of, like I said, Decentraland has what, 38 users.
Right.
Well, that's highly, there was not much to talk about there, but there are a load of Somnium Space, a whole load of other worlds that it would be interesting to get the stats for, to compare them. I mean, OpenSim is nothing like as popular as Second Life, but Second Life is a playground. It's not. OpenSim is a much more functional, specific thing for doing things. So and it's actually remarkably highly used. The stats from there are quite important. They don't compete with Second Life, but on the other hand, there are other platforms. It'd be interesting to know, if they're even on their way to competing with OpenSim. Things like Science Space still, Adam still never gives any actual figures, and there's well, like you say, there's certain places with 38 users near the bottom of the list. So it would be nice to see more of the stats, or rather somebody who can aggregate the stats and then comment on them, which is basically what she does once a year. But anyway, that's it. Yeah. So, it's a long time since she was on this program.
A long time. Yeah.
She was a gay presenter at one point when we were.
Maybe we can get her on the In-World Review at some point.
Yeah, I was just going to say 20 new headsets every week, and
Oh, right.
And, I don't know, it was a very, it was become a very specific thing there. So I'm glad she gave up on that one, but it was just too many. And of course, this was all variations on Google Cardboard, and
a lot has happened since then.
Yeah, suddenly no brain thingies on cardboard. Right, okay, before I start rambling on, okay, an hour and a quarter of the news this week. I don't know whether you guys are grateful or not. I mean, if we by September we will have a program that follows this back on air, so I'll be down to 30 minutes. I'm making up for lost time in the summer. I'm doing extended blabbering for your benefit. Am I not?
Yes.
So he agrees. Extended blabbering. Yeah, good phrase. Definitely a good phrase, that. Okay, well, we are out of here. Keep safe, everybody. We'll be back same time, same place next week. And you can get this program all the while in replay at YouTube. look for Mal Burns, or better still, Mal Burns Metaverse. Both will actually get you to the playlist for this program, and other things as well. And yeah, we'll return next week with new stuff. And maybe a little bit of old stuff to spice it up. You never know what's going to happen in the next 7 days, do you? Thunderbirds might go.
They might go. Thunderbirds are
Yeah.
go. FAB.
And I might collapse in the heat. Even better. Well, maybe not. Okay, we're out of here. Thanks to James for helping me out with all this and the technology behind it. And yeah, keep yourself safe. And if in doubt about the real world, try the virtual one. What else can I say? Bye for now.